talk to you. A lot has happened in those 2 weeks. This is Xbox Talks number 34. The big subjects tonight are in the title if you're joining the room, and we kind of want to get some people up here to talk about these subjects with us because obviously we have our own opinions on them, but it's really fun to hear how other gamers are reacting to some of this news that's been happening. So before we dive in on those topics, let me introduce my co-host up here today. And first, we're joined by Anthony. He goes by Mocha Worm on the subreddits, and he's over there from the UK, and it's late night and all that. But how you doing, Anthony?
Hi, Jay. Doing good, thank you. Very good. Lots of news to talk about. Very excited.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, absolutely. You can't wait to get into it because I know there's going to be a lot of hot takes all around about some of these subjects, and we've seen them already on the subreddit and in the Discord and some of the extensions of the community. So I'm also joined this week by Mikey J. Raymond, who I'm sure has plenty to share about these topics as well. So how are you doing, guy?
Oh, I'm doing good. I missed last week's show. I missed that we didn't do it. That is because I've been ready to talk for a while.
And yeah, sorry about not having a show last week for those that listen on the podcast, or even those of you joining us live. We do try to do this weekly, but we're kind of adjusting and switching into more of a fall schedule now. So looking through fall and winter, we're going to be trying for Thursday nights to host these. We have some great surprises lined up, some industry guests, some pretty major games potentially, some giveaways, and just a lot of exciting things to share with this format. And we think it has a lot of potential and can't wait to get going with more of that. So more details to come. I might have tipped a little there, but I'm not going to share too much until we have stuff locked down. But this is a really fun way to do that kind of stuff. So let's just go around real quickly. And before we dive into this, I just want to kind of get what you guys have been up to the last 2 weeks. A lot of games have come out. Have you been playing anything new? Is there anything that's kind of grabbed your attention that maybe you didn't think would have? How's it been going for you? Let's start with Anthony again.
Oh, I've just been playing a load of games with my little boy at the moment. Loads of Lego games. He's got me back into Lego games, which is great. Really good. And I've been doing the Halo event, which has just been on for the last 2 weeks. So I wanted to finish that. But I've not been playing anything new. Just kind of like boxing off old stuff, really. But having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, it kind of seems like a lot of people are kind of in that groove right now. We're on the precipice of some big releases, but there's a lot of just kind of smaller games, and a lot of people are catching up on that backlog. So I don't even see it as a bad thing when major releases slow down, because it does give you a chance to go back and play some of these games that you might have started and didn't get to finish, or I think we all have titles like that. So Mikey, what have you been up to the last couple weeks?
I'll just say I'll just list them. It's easier. Completed Train Sim World 3. Started and completed Generation Zero. Did the same with Midnight Fight Express. Both of those fantastic games. And like I said, I went through and I completed Plague Tale, and also completed The Artful Escape, which both of those are also fantastic titles. And they leave today. They left today. They might already be gone. So I'm sorry if people missed those, but wow. I really actually liked Artful Escape. I did not expect battling a space whale. It's a very good game. I'll just say
I did not complete it. Did dive pretty deep into it though, and really loved the style and the design of the game. It was a lot of fun. One of those games I always meant to get back to, and it looks like I missed my chance because, as you just mentioned, it's off Game Pass today. But if it did come on sale for half off, I enjoyed it so much I would not mind adding that permanently to the library. It really is a beautiful game. And I did kind of want to touch on, did you say you finished Train Sim 3? I just want to...
I completed the base game.
Okay, but my question here is, like, yeah, what does that entail? Like, how do you, like, what would you think you're completing it? Like,
so when I say started complete, I mean I got all the achievements.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah.
So this game, the hardest one was actually you had to drive 500 miles. And I wish I would have looked up a guide for that achievement, because I actually did the 500 myself through the various tracks. But you can go into the training area and set up a train to just loop,
just drive around and around.
and I didn't know that, so I should have just done that. It's a fairly good sim game. It's actually really hard too. At one point I used an emergency brake, and my entire train shut down, and you have to go through all these processes to boot your train back up, and every single train has a different process. So I had to look up guides, and guides weren't up to date with the new base game, so I had to start going off kind of based on what other trains had. I had to shut down all systems, make sure all electrical was offline, put things into neutral position, and then start your engine, and maybe it would work.
We know about Forza and car enthusiasts, but if there's another group of enthusiasts that are really attentive to details, it's train enthusiasts. And I'm sure that somebody out there would be raising a storm if maybe a lever wasn't right or something like that. So the way you describe it sounds like they were really trying to please that audience. I did want to also mention, and sorry, I forgot because he's not on video with us, but Batman's up here with us too. Batman, how are you doing this week?
Oh, I'm doing great. Ready to talk about some fun news.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard some of your opinions on some of the subjects we'll be hitting on just over the course of the last few months. Let's start off with the big news of the week, I guess. And Halo season 2 of the television show, so it started production. Are we all excited about that? I know that the subreddit reacted with like celebration, awards, and it was nothing but positive, glowing comments. I know, Batman, you're a huge fan. Everybody here loved it, right? So how excited are we for season 2 of the Halo television show?
When you said the biggest news story, I had 6 other stories lined up in my head before that one. I just want to say that.
It's definitely a little tongue-in-cheek.
You caught me off guard there as well. I'm not going to lie.
It was announced today for those that are concerned or did not know. This isn't news because the show was contracted the 2 seasons before production began. So I did see a lot of comments were like, how could this possibly be renewed? And that kind of thing. And like I said, this was a contractual thing. We'll see if it makes it past 2 seasons. I don't think Halo's great. I'm also not on the hate train like a lot of people because I'm not really a Halo purist. It's just kind of a mediocre sci-fi show to me that, I might watch season 2, but I'm not going to be marking my calendar for it or anything. So kind of joking aside and getting past that, let's get into the real Halo conversation that I think we all want to have. And there's been lots of news, lots of big developments. So I think a good place to start without recapping the saga of Halo, it's well known, is let's talk about Bonnie Ross departing a role that she's held for quite a while, right? So I know you guys are very informed about this, and who would like to kind of take the lead on this and steer us through it?
I say we give it to Batman, who just used a Master Chief emoji. I saw that.
Yeah.
So, Batman, I know you're a big Halo fan. How do you feel about the recent developments over the last 2 weeks, really?
It's been going from a low point of anger and disappointment, like I'm sure a lot of the community is, to, I don't want to sound mean, but I guess a better word for now would be hopeful, because I don't think most people know a lot of these lead positions like Bonnie Ross and that engineering lead for the Slipspace engine and others have been there since its inception back in 2008. And as we can all see, Halo's had a lot of failures since Halo 4. And I can give somebody a couple, Halo 4 and MCC, but once we had like 5 and then obviously Infinite and everything, it's just like we need some new blood in there. We can't just keep doing the same thing and hoping that it just works out after a decade of it already.
Yeah, I think we were kind of talking a little bit in the pre-show and just in the last few weeks is that even those of us that have been really staunch defenders and saying, hey, let's give them more time. Hey, they just...
And I was one of those.
Got rushed, right? Like, it's just... the air is running out in those sales. And it's getting harder and harder to just stand by and say, we're happy with how things are going. I think we mentioned before that other developers of major games, as Call of Duty is a great example, are running circles around Halo and its development pace. Just the release of content, it's making them look kind of silly in comparison. So, Mikey, why don't you give us the spin on this and how you're feeling about things?
So you mentioned the Slipspace guy. Sorry to stutter there. David Berger, who you guys might recognize some of his work before he joined 343. He's worked on Mech Warrior, Shadowrun, one of my favorite games of all time that never got a sequel, Too Human. If you've ever played that, it's a really weird Norse mythology game, twin stick shooter or whatever, whatever you want to call it. Some of these problems that Halo have been having, from what I've heard, is actually due to the engine. I only recently heard this in a couple different videos after Bonnie Ross left and David Berger. But just adding like a Team Slayer playlist is apparently a problem with the split space engine. So even if it's beautiful looking, they've got some kinks to work out with it. And Microsoft has spent a ton of money on this engine, so they're still working on it. So hopefully with time that improves. But seeing your lead go, I'm not sure what that means. I don't know if that means that they just like, you know what, you're done. What you made here is not acceptable. We'll fix it, but with somebody else. Or if he thought his work was finished and now he's retiring and moving on to new projects, who knows? The leaving of Bonnie Ross 10 days after a media meltdown. I question whether she actually had a family emergency. That's all I'll say about it. The timing is it's questionable.
I think it was convenient timing. She probably did have something, but
especially in her leaving message when she said she planned to leave essentially after the winter update. So her exit was already planned, and it seems like Microsoft wanted some good press and maybe expedited that.
Yeah, and go back on your thing about with the engines, I don't know if any of y'all remember, but back in, I think shortly after launch, when they were explaining why I didn't have the Team Slayer playlist, they were saying UI restrictions. If your engine is so clunky and not scalable enough to do something as simple as that, there's issues.
Right. So and something as small as that being such a major problem for adding a playlist is, well, it's unacceptable. So whether he was let go or he left because he was embarrassed or he's retiring, who knows? But he's an industry veteran and he's done quality work up until now. So I feel a little bad. I don't know if we want to rag on the engine or not, but
I think this is a good point to kind of make a distinction between. We have no ill will toward anyone. Nobody's wishing bad on anybody that was a part of this process, a part of the development of this game, and we certainly don't know a lot of the obstacles that they faced, and we know some, but we weren't there. We don't know the process that they went through, and I have a feeling these people poured their heart and soul, and what we can say is that unfortunately it's missed the mark. It's missed the mark for casual Halo fans. It's definitely missed the mark for your longtime Halo fans, your OG Halo fans, if you will. And we're not, like I said, wishing anything bad on anyone, but I certainly am happy to see a change of the guard, even if it's minor, if it's a start of something that might be a catalyst to changing how we look at the franchise, how we look at the development cycles, how we look at the multiplayer and the content that we're putting out, and how we listen to our community. There's a lot of asks that have been there since the launch of Halo Infinite, and one of those is more content, something that they continue to seemingly struggle with. By most accounts, somebody might be out there and disagree with that, but the Battle Pass perks are kind of slow and minor cosmetics, and we're not getting a lot of new maps to play or a lot of new game modes at a great rate. So, it seems to be some issues here that are readily apparent for anybody that's played the game, that's wanted to love it, that's tried to love it, and we've all been waiting and trying to be patient with it, but it has gotten to the point now where patience is running out. So I think maybe 343 and Microsoft might understand that a bit too, and we don't know if these moves were pressured behind the scenes or if they really are. We take them at face value, but regardless, they're moves, and we can be hopeful that they're going to lead to the right moves and some new direction for Halo. That's where I'm at with it.
And a lot of reports, to talk positively about Bonnie Ross. Halo wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her. Microsoft was ready to get rid of Halo after Bungie. Without her, we don't have Halo.
And I have two more things I don't know if you want to go on a different topic, but somebody pointed out in a video I was watching that their latest roadmap that they released that started the whole craziness, that would have been acceptable for launch. Someone pointed out to me, if that was their launch roadmap, we would have been fine with that. It's just the fact that after a year which come this November is basically 7 years of development for that game, and that's all they have to show for it. Doesn't sit well with most people. But
kind of an aside. Sorry, go ahead. Keep going. Yeah, you're good.
Oh, and I was just going to say the second point, this may just be having that copium or whatever, but for those who don't know, the person in charge of the studio now is the same guy who spearheaded the, I guess for lack of a better word, resurgence of MCC and bringing it to the fun game that we all know and love today. So if he can do that with Infinite, I will have a little bit of hope.
I think it's Pierre Hintz. I'm not sure if that's how you say his last name, though.
That
Only
sounded
read
pretty
it.
good to me.
I didn't want to try pronouncing it, but thank you.
You're welcome. I took the bullet.
I kind of an aside. I just wanted to. You said you were mentioning the roadmap that was laid out there, and I'm not sure how I feel about roadmaps. If I'm a developer, I noticed that when the developer Crema, I believe is their name. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but they developed Temtem, and they did an AMA with us last week, and somebody asked them specifically about a roadmap, and they were just like, we don't do roadmaps. They don't tend to work out too well for us. And I just thought that was kind of refreshingly honest. And you know, I know that gamers love roadmaps, but it seems like anytime somebody puts one out, Epic Game Store famously put one out and backed away from it, it just always ends up biting them in the butt because it's so hard to deliver on every single point that they would like to see. And there's always going to be pitfalls. So it's almost better to announce content as you develop it, you know, and not put these grand roadmaps out there kind of thing. So I thought that was kind of funny.
I was going to say they did have a roadmap because I bought that game on Steam at launch. So that's
Are you talking about
probably
Temtem?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the exact quote was they didn't have a good experience with them. So that tells you all you need to know about that. So
I think it's fine to not have one for specific games like No Man's Sky. They don't have one. We just know eventually they'll release an update and we're fine with that. But if you're labeling yourself as a live service game, people are expecting content every so often, and even if you don't make it, people are fine if you don't make some stuff. Like I'll use Siege as an example. Like they make the mark on most of the roadmaps stuff, but not everything. But most of the community is fine with it. But when you don't hit it consistently on the majority of the content, then it's a problem.
It definitely can bite you back. It's great at face value, and if you do deliver, it's a boon for your game. You make a good point about service games, especially that's their map of content. That's what you can expect, and that's what's going to keep you playing. So you can't just sit there and be like, "Oh yeah, we got some good stuff coming," and I guess not really elaborate on that. So that's a good point. That's fair.
But if that's everyone's thoughts on this, I'm curious to hear Mike's thoughts on the next topic. I'm assuming if that's what it is.
Before we move on, we've got somebody up on stage.
We do have a guest.
I wonder what he's going to talk about.
It's Hogwarts Swing Traders. You can hit us with any topic you'd like to, or you can jump in on the conversation we're having. How are you doing tonight? Or
I'm doing well.
Or wherever
How are you guys doing?
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. Do you guys run this channel or this stream pretty often?
We host kind of weekly here. Some other subreddits do it far more frequently. I think like Wall Street Bets does one daily, but we try to do this kind of with the community like once a week just to kind of cover the news and that. Oh,
cool. Well, I'll get right into it. I have just wondering your reviews, all four of your reviews on a few different games. So it was just announced recently that Deathloop is now coming to Game Pass on the 20th, and then two other games that I was wondering about is Gotham Knights as well as Hogwarts Legacy, which is coming in February. What is everyone's opinion on those?
So first of all, when we bring something up
boy.
here, it's always kind of like Russian roulette in a way. We're like, oh, I hope it's going to be somebody with a good question, and you delivered with a good question. So I was a little nervous at first, but let's start with the game that made the most news this week, and that is Hogwarts Legacy.
Indeed.
Just check our Reddit thread. You'll see what everyone thinks.
Yeah, so I actually didn't expect this to make as much noise as it did, but PlayStation has locked up some exclusive content for the game, exclusive shop and trading mechanics. And does anybody have like the real details, or otherwise I can?
Well,
I have it written up.
Have you got it? I was going to say apparently the shop that they've locked behind this paywall, behind this exclusivity, it really allows your character to progress faster, right, Mikey? It speeds up.
That's
your
part of
entire
it. Yeah.
game progression.
They've got a quest with Madame Mason, the haunted shop in Hogsmeade, an exclusive dungeon, a special cosmetic set, and Felix Felicis. Felicis? I can't remember how it's pronounced. I just watched the movie recently too, which shows, I think, treasure chests in the map temporarily. All this exclusive for, you guessed it, 12 months, like every other freaking PlayStation deal. Oh, sorry.
Will that be?
We'll get into exclusivity later when I rant about it. Oh, I'm just, and
Is it 12 months? Is it 12 months? Look at Final Fantasy, right? That was a 7 remake. That was a
Well, it was
12
supposed
month
to be 12
exclusive,
months
wasn't it?
there.
This was
Final
announced
Fantasy
with
is
the year.
forever.
It's not going
And
to
then-
come until February something 2024, is what was actually announced. We won't get it for a full year.
They locked out Destiny matchmake, some strikes in Destiny with 12 months exclusives at launch.
And weapons.
Destiny 2 and weapons. So, will it ever come to Xbox? Historically, you can't really take the word for it. I don't think.
I will say, I believe the developers of the game, or WB themselves, said the date. So I want to say
okay.
it is a hard set date
Yeah,
of 1
they
year.
did. It was a hard date.
So we're good there. It's just so much was removed. I mean, you talked about the possibility of progressing your character faster. That's the stuff that really kind of sucks. I mean, imagine it reminds me of going back to like GameStop in the day and getting a pre-order, and you could get like a 2-hour 10% XP boost to your character in Borderlands or something. And that was it. But like, to lock something out, so much stuff for a full year, like, we're not talking about a hat here. We're not just talking about a cosmetic set. We're talking about quite a large chunk of content from what I see. I just thought it was, maybe a 20-minute quest. It's game-changing stuff, literally.
That's usually what it is. But yeah, I'm surprised it's that big.
Like Jay said before, sorry, go on.
No, I was just gonna say, I don't think even the backlash would have even been that strong based on just that. It's annoying. We've dealt with this on the Xbox side of things with Call of Duty, famously year after year, map packs, just exclusive content, timed exclusive content, more kind of impactful has been them holding Final Fantasy VII Remake and some of the other tactics Sony has used to lock content to their platform. And I think the point I kind of wanted to get to here is that, yeah, okay, we're fine, we can deal with it, but we can't deal with it very well when you're also over here making a big stink about Microsoft buying games like Call of Duty because of their exclusivity, or doing studio acquisitions. And it just seems like you're kind of talking out two sides of your face when you're like, no, you can't do that because that's going to fundamentally hurt PlayStation gamers. But meanwhile, I've been waiting 3 years for Final Fantasy VII Remake to come over to Xbox. How is that not hurting Xbox gamers? Why is that different? There's definitely some differences that are pretty obvious. And I think one that kind of gets overlooked is when you buy a studio and you start producing a game, you're taking 100% of the risk. You're not just paying someone to keep it off a platform. If this game bombs, if somehow you ruin the franchise, you're out. You lose all of your money, So I think when you're merging and when you're bringing studios in-house like that, it's a little bit of a different conversation in the way that it exposes the purchaser to more risk, where Sony's playing the safe game where they're like, oh, well, we're going to pay you a certain amount of money and you just don't put it over there without having to buy the studio, without having to take the risk. And they're totally fine with that. But they're raising objections with Microsoft's trying a slightly different approach with the same results. So I've really just kind of steamrolled into another topic here. I'm going to turn it over to Mikey.
Well, I was going to say, other than that, the game looks good.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
I guess before we go to that, do we want to answer his other part about Deathloop that he was asking?
And Gotham Knights.
Yeah. But I mean, Deathloop. Go back to Deathloop. That was
please do. Yes, please do both of those games.
Is that a Microsoft published game, right? Which was launched exclusively on PlayStation.
I mean, technically it is. It was going to be Bethesda before they got bought, but yeah.
Yeah.
True. It looks great. I'm excited. I'm trying to clear my backlog before September 20th now that it's finally announced. We'll see if I can get Death Stranding done in 5 days.
Oh God, good luck.
I'm still trying to finish Kingdom Come, which another plug for that game. Fantastic.
You have 70 hours to spare? Because I think it takes like 70 or 80 to get all the trophies for that.
Can I just add that like this is another case of Sony paid for timed exclusivity with Deathloop? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
12
So
months.
it's all the time. They're always doing this, guys. They're always doing it. How come? Like it's just we're all playing the same game. I just feel like it seems just kind of desperate and weak to start crying about the Activision acquisition and all that when you're playing the same dirty game. We see you.
That was locked in. That was locked in before Microsoft owned Bethesda.
Yeah,
right.
So it was,
So
and Microsoft honored it.
12 months in. Yeah.
I don't know. Never happen again.
But it had Microsoft not bought Bethesda, who's to say Starfield wouldn't be a PlayStation exclusive for 2 years? Because they pumped some check in the back door, and I just get so fired up about this stuff.
Rumor was that they were in talks to make it exclusive for a period of time. That was a rumor floating around a few years ago. So,
do you know how? Does anybody know how much it costs Sony to lock a game out for 12 months? What value? What value are we talking on a?
It would have to be. I would assume at least triple digits, right? Or at least in terms of millions, like 100 million minimum.
Well, let's look at it this way: how many copies of Final Fantasy VII Remake would have sold on Xbox? And whatever check Sony cuts has to be enough to offset that. Maybe not entirely, because I think developers realize that eventually they can roll their software out to poor Xbox, 2 years later, and make some sales that way.
Still coin it, yeah.
But it's almost like double dipping, which I think is extra scummy. But I will just kind of leave it at that. It's a good chunk of change. I think it has to be enough to really make it worth their while. Otherwise, why would they do it? Why would you cut off 40 million gamers from your franchise, from falling in love with your characters and establishing that kind of relationship? Go ahead, Mikey.
I was gonna say, do we want to also talk about if we're excited for Gotham Knights? Because that was his actual question.
Nope, we're working our way around there. That was the last game. Yep. Let's talk about Gotham Knights a little bit. I am not really that excited.
That's on the back burner for a while.
Okay.
Am I really the only one excited? The more I see, the more excited I get. Because I was listening to a developer talk about it with IGN, and so many co-op games come out nowadays where your co-op partner, their stuff doesn't save to their world. And one of the cool things about Gotham Knights is they actually do it, and they do it in a great way. So if you join your host, who might be halfway through the story at a point that you're not even close to, and 12 enemy levels ahead, everything in the world scales to your level, so you can enjoy co-op worlds with your friend. And when you get to that point in the game in your own world, you have an option to skip it. Like the game will actually tell you, you've already done this content. Do you want to skip it? So a lot of little things like that, and care in the co-op experience, making it actually worth it, on top of being a rock-steady Batman game, is getting me excited for the title. And I'm not just trying to play devil's advocate, because I wasn't super excited, but I think it looks like a good title, and they're talking about a massive end game potentially, which they've been very tightly sealed on.
I should be clear. I'm not excited because the game doesn't look appealing to me. I just haven't really dove that deep into it. It's definitely been on my radar. I've seen lots of previews. We've gotten a preview for almost every character from the game on like a weekly basis, and that's been exciting to see. I think it comes out the 21st of October, and that same day we'll be getting the Handsome Jack Borderlands. I forget the title of that game, but the Borderlands story, the collection, that's going to be coming out. The
Tales of the Borderlands.
Yeah. Thank you, Batman. So that's going to be a big week for games for me. I'm excited for both those titles, more so for Borderlands. But like I said, I'm going to keep watching the Gotham game and see how we go from here and how it leads up to launch.
My thing is just I don't play a lot of open world games because I get burnt out. So that's why I'm just kind of delegating it to a next year type of game for me.
I forgot Scorn also comes out that same day, so October 21st is going to be one to circle. There's got to be something for almost everybody, and it's so nice to see, even though we're missing a lot of AAA titles. Yeah, Call of Duty comes out that same day too.
Well, I don't think the same day, but it's like the same realm, like a week, I think.
I got you. I actually have heard that some people might be shifting around dates with a few people that I've been talking with. So we'll see how that all plays out. But regardless, October is going to be a very busy month for all of us. So let's see. I kind of sidetracked us. Did we want to touch any more on what we were talking about there?
I will say, Hogwarts, any other, do we answer the question on top of everything else we said and ranted about?
Yeah, guys, thanks for taking my question. I appreciate it. Hope you guys
Hey, before you go, are you the proud owner of Metal Gear 5?
I'm not. No, I'm actually new to Xbox as of May. I've always been a PlayStation guy, but I converted.
Why did you convert? This is what we always ask people who
It was first of all, it was impossible to get my hands on a PS5.
This has actually been a big selling point for Xbox. Go ahead.
I got scammed twice. I got scammed out of $1,000.
Oh gosh.
What?
Yeah.
For a PS5.
I got $500 back, but my buddy had purchased an Xbox and he's like, I don't want it. I'm like, I'll take it. I think Xbox is looking pretty good, and I'm not too psyched about PlayStation. So
yeah. Do you have? Did you sign up for Game Pass?
I did. Yes, I have I have like the Ultimate or whatever.
Yeah, that really makes the Xbox really fun console. It really definitely adds to the value. Well, welcome first of all to this side of things, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. Lots of us up here still game on PlayStation 2, but let us throw you a copy of Metal Gear Solid 5. We'll look for you if you can leave a comment on this post. We'll find you down there and we'll direct message you a code for it and
awesome
give you something else to play on your system. So thanks for coming up and good questions tonight.
Yeah, thanks.
Also, small little note. We in no way, shape, or form get any monetization from developers or Microsoft. So like these codes and stuff we give away, it's out of like that one out of Foreman's pocket. I don't know if you got it for free or something from somewhere else. Maybe.
For the most part, we do supply prizes and stuff. We do have some generous users who donate stuff for us to give away from time to time, and we will always nod to them. So we actually have some other giveaways coming up too that I can't quite discuss yet, but we'll be talking about them over the holidays. So so we just like talking games, and if I have Microsoft credits, I'll throw them some titles for some that kind of stuff. So
guys. I was going to say it all just fell off the truck. That's how we get them all our codes.
Fell off the truck. Quote.
Should we talk about Jim Ryan?
Ooh. Well, this is like a mega subject, isn't it? This all kind of bleeds together. So
it does indeed.
Let's talk about some Jim Ryan. Let's talk about what he's been talking about, and he's been talking about how important Call of Duty is to PlayStation. It's very, very important, according to Jim Ryan. He will tell you that without Call of Duty, you would think that PlayStation is going to go bankrupt. It might take Sony down with it if they don't have Call of Duty. Jim Ryan will be homeless. PlayStations will combust. There's no way this deal can go through. Otherwise, gamers are going to suffer, according to Jim Ryan. How do you guys feel about Jim Ryan and his take and his kind of very public comment about the Microsoft acquisition?
Mikey?
When can I do my rant?
I think it's rant time.
Okay.
This is a good time to...
I got my popcorn.
I'm going to kick back too.
Okay. I have a note sheet.
If you happen to be watching on video, if you join us by YouTube, Mikey just turned into rant mode. So prepare yourselves.
Okay. So usually people joke that I'm the ranty one. Mikey's over here shaking his head. It's get brought up a lot, but this might actually be the first time that I'm legitimately a little pissed off. So we're going to go back to 2 weeks to start this off. The CMA announced the following on their actual official webpage, which is very cool. Their government, by the way. Microsoft is one of 3 large companies, together with Sony and Nintendo, that have led the market for gaming consoles for the past 20 years with limited entries from new rivals. Activision Blizzard has some of the world's best-selling and most recognizable gaming franchises such as Call of Duty and World of Warcraft. The CMA is concerned that if Microsoft buys Activision, it could harm rivals, including recent and future entrants into gaming, by refusing them access to Activision Blizzard games or providing them access on much worse terms. And then they go on to note that they're leading. They go, Microsoft already has a leading gaming console, Xbox, and more areas that they lead in. And they say the CMA is concerned that Microsoft could leverage Activision Blizzard's games together with Microsoft's strength across console, cloud, and PC operating systems to damage competition in the nascent market for cloud gaming services. First of all, picking this apart, when the CMA references Xbox as one of the leading three, they don't even mention one of the other top companies, Tencent. They completely leave them off the list, which actually places Microsoft without Activision. They're currently fourth in the industry. Microsoft, on top of this, in January, during their initial announcement, was ahead of this, and they said when the transaction closes, Microsoft will become the world's third largest gaming company by revenue, behind Tencent and Sony. So even after this, Microsoft by revenue will be in third place. So that's already kind of wiped off the map, and that was wiped off the map 8 months ago, and the CMA is still bringing this up. The CMA also references World of Warcraft, which, as everyone knows, is only playable on PC. And, there's a huge possibility that Microsoft, maybe adds it to WoW, to subs to Game Pass or something along the lines. Who knows? There's a huge potential to leverage WoW, as it should be, because they're buying them. But, and it's a big but. Microsoft, again, has a case here. Final Fantasy 14. I've been on this show talking about how close the numbers are between Final Fantasy 14 and WoW, and I looked it up, and holy crap, according to MMOpopulation.com, which they use multiple sources to try to get these numbers, World of Warcraft is sitting currently, and this is today I looked at, 1.15 million. Classic is at 1.26 million, which, by the way, your sub covers both of those services. So, it's the same player base playing both. Final Fantasy...
Let me jump in here. Do you think this is why Sony hasn't mentioned World of Warcraft when they're objecting? Because they're holding Final Fantasy 14 hostage over there, which is, like you said,
probably
the same.
Probably because Final Fantasy is sitting at an active player count of 1.52 million. So they have more active players than World of Warcraft.
Yeah, strategically quiet. Go ahead. Sorry.
And guess who's had exclusive access to the Final Fantasy MMO for the nearly 10 years? Oh, it's been PlayStation, but now the CMA suddenly cares. So not only did the CMA fail to recognize another major player in the gaming industry, but they also seem to unable to realize a comparable product that Sony has locked down for a decade. So replying to this statement somewhat and to the public, Phil Spencer came out and said to The Verge, quote, "In January, we provided a signed agreement to Sony to guarantee Call of Duty on PlayStation with feature and content parity for at least several more years beyond the current Sony contract. An offer that goes well beyond typical gaming industry agreements." End quote. Which, by all means, it's a good statement. It's a feel-good statement. Given what we know about current contracts, that in total would put Call of Duty on PlayStation through 2027, which seems to fall in line with what Sony was asking for back in January as well, because they came out to the Wall Street Journal and said that we expect Microsoft will abide by contractual agreements and continue to ensure Activision games are multi-platform. So, Microsoft is following suit. Through 2027 sounds pretty damn good to me. And all of this falls in line with what Phil said in January as well. This isn't the first time he's publicly stated this. Had good calls, they said this on Twitter, had good calls this week with leaders at Sony. I confirmed our intent to honor all existing agreements upon acquisition of Activision Blizzard and our desire to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. Sony is an important part of our industry and we value our relationship. End quote. Now, Jim Ryan. Oh, Jim, what the actual... Why did you even come out and say this, Jim? Oh my gosh. Beginning of the quote in his statement to, I believe, Gaming Biz. I hadn't intended to comment on what I understood to be a private business discussion, but I feel the need to set the record straight because Phil Spencer has brought this into the public forum. Newsflash, this entire thing has not been a private business discussion. It's been a very open matter with multiple world governments, and what Phil said is really nothing new than what he already stated in public tweet in January.
Like, this is some kind of Clubhouse deal or something, right?
Right. So it's like, what are you setting straight? You say nothing. And he goes on to say, Microsoft has only offered Call of Duty to remain on PlayStation for 3 years after the current agreement by Activision and Sony ends. After almost 20 years of Call of Duty on PlayStation, their proposal was inadequate on many levels and failed to take into account the impact on our gamers. We want to guarantee PlayStation gamers continue to have the highest quality Call of Duty experience, and Microsoft's proposal undermines this principle. Again, how is that setting the record straight? Because you didn't say anything new besides the fact that you found it inadequate. Phil literally said several, which means 3 to 5. You can look up the definition online. A few means 2 to like less than that. So like he was very He was right on point. And this has been out in the world since January, so it's not a private discussion. I don't know why you said that. And all you're doing, from what I can see, is redefining what several meant for 3. And anyways, well, unless you want to start talking about Final Fantasy VII, because maybe that is exclusive for more than 3 years. I guess by your definition of what a contract should be, Xbox should listen, because they should go beyond 3 years, because that's what you're probably doing for Final Fantasy VII. And Jim and Sony complained to Brazil that this deal had the potential to drive gamers to Xbox, and they did the same thing. I mean, imagine keeping Final Fantasy VII on PlayStation, but allowing Crisis Core to come to Xbox. I'd argue that's the ultimate tease. Would be to put a prequel of a beloved game on a competitor's platform while keeping the main entry in that series exclusive to your own platform. Gee, I wonder if that will drive sales to PlayStation. Inadequate? I mean, you want to know what's actually inadequate? What's inadequate is that nearly every time you get an exclusive content in-game for a title, it'll be like, I'll use Harry Potter. We were just talking about that. You lock it down for an entire year. You get everything that we talked about earlier on the podcast, the quest, an exclusive dungeon, a cosmetic set, in-game XP faster, a shop added to Hogsmeade. You get the Felix Felicis potion for a whole year. How about when you did the exact same thing with an exclusive mode for 2019's Call of Duty Modern Warfare? The Xbox plays didn't get it for till the next game was out, meaning the game mode was dead on arrival. How about a year's exclusivity of Destiny Weapons and Strikes? How about Final Fantasy 16, Forspoken, Deathloop, Ghostwire Tokyo, and now Rise of the Ronin with Team Ninja? And if you want a comparable example of how Xbox treats exclusivity, you can look at their deal with Team Ninja and Wulong. It's only going to be exclusive for like 3 months. When Sony does it, it's either forever or for a year. Exclusives aren't even a terrible thing, but when you come in screaming about exclusivity, ruining it for your gamers, and it doesn't matter when the shoe's on the other foot, it ruins your whole argument. It makes you kind of look like a child. How I'm arguing right now, I look like a child, and what Jim Ryan was saying, comes across just as that.
It chips away at the foundation of their complaints, of their objections to the Microsoft deal. And what we have here is 2 very different ways of achieving the same goal. And kind of like we were just discussing, Microsoft is going all in on the games they want to lock into their console, the games they want to be hands-on with. They're saying, we're going to buy it. We're going to take all the risk. We're going to be involved. Where PlayStation is just making deals. They're making deals everywhere. And they're not paying for, the developers themselves. And I guess Bungie was a recent acquisition for them. And then that kind of is an exception, but for the most part, like Mikey just listed, God, that was a long list, and you missed some. There's a lot of stuff you didn't hit, where PlayStation is known for cutting these deals. Exclusive content, exclusive maps, exclusive modes, exclusivity, period. It's just for games for a year, for 3 years now with Final Fantasy VII Remake. They keep re-upping it. And it's weird that to them that's acceptable, but buying and going all in isn't acceptable. Taking the risk isn't acceptable. Had Microsoft paid $40 million, I don't know, fictional number, to Activision to say, hey, we want Call of Duty exclusive for 3 months on Xbox every year. Will you accept that? Would that be okay with PlayStation? Are they going to be like, oh, that's totally cool because that's what we do all the freaking time, or are they going to, it's just insane to me that this is what they're raising objections over. So, Matt, you've been quiet here. Did you want to weigh in on some Jim Ryan?
I agree with everything Mikey was saying. And to add on what he was saying, like extending, like they've done that with Destiny, the original one. I think it was after Taking King. They pushed like that stuff, like a couple items there for like 2 years instead of like the 1 year that they were doing before. So basically when Destiny 2 launches, and at that point no one's going to play it.
Yeah, exactly. And the CMA keeps saying about gamers, they're protecting gamers, looking at it for gamers. But it's not gamers, is it? It's just PlayStation gamers, because Nintendo and all the other gaming companies have put their replies in saying that we're not opposed to the deal.
No, that's
it's we're okay with it. We don't really, we're gonna. So
top tier point and something that we overlooked. It's really good to highlight. Yeah, yes, Nintendo's been like, we got everything we need.
And Xbox even wants to continue to push Call of Duty into the Switch area. I don't know how they plan to bring it. Maybe through cloud would be fantastic. You want to talk about experience. PlayStation, they always talk about, in all their arguments, they've been talking about their experience for their gamers. The experience gamers want, Jim, is they don't care if you continue to charge $70 for games or raise your price on the PlayStation 5 in every single market that you're winning in, while hardware across the industry for computer parts is actually lowering. And it has been hitting rock bottom prices like GPU and RAM, and suddenly inflation is affecting the cost of your console, or paying to keep games off Game Pass. That's not the experience gamers want. So again, when the shoe's on the other foot, Jim Ryan and PlayStation, they're so hypocritical, and that's why I'm getting so animated about this, and I've been so upset. It's how does the CMA not see that when they look at deals like this and see everything that they've done in the past and go, well, you can't do this, even though Sony, the one that's leading the market, has been doing it for years.
And I think it's also important to highlight here that this might be kind of standard procedure. A deal this big usually doesn't get through just kind of without being scrutinized. From what I've been reading, Anthony is probably more familiar with this than I am, possibly. When you're dropping $70 billion deals, you're going to phase 2, basically, to put it kind of bluntly. Very seldom would a deal like this skate through without this happening. The reason that Microsoft probably didn't reply when asked for a reply at this point is because they understand that that's where this is going, and they feel like that after phase 2 they're going to be good. They don't feel like they have to defend this because it is only Sony objecting. Anthony, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just due diligence, isn't it? It was always going to happen, especially in the UK. I think it seems to be more. Well, there's more looking into these things over here.
Without getting too political, Europe in general seems to be a little more consumer friendly than.
But US. We also, you may find that Microsoft may have to give some guarantees, or they might have to just put in black and white that Call of Duty will remain multi-platform for its lifespan.
Some concessions, right? Yeah. Sorry, you're going to have to sell another 40 million copies of your game.
But
Sorry
Sony have their own franchise, like Killzone, for example. They could resurrect Killzone. They've got 5 to 7 years to create a Call of Duty.
You're dangerously close to sending me on a SOCOM tangent, and I'm going to
say that was actually in the bottom part of my rant. I didn't even finish it.
They've got some of the best.
But SOCOM was the biggest online shooter. It came out about the same time Halo, our OG Halo did. Sony, very forward thinking here, created a game that required broadband in a time when broadband was not readily available. They said, you're only going to be able to play this on a decent connection back then. They actually sold an adapter. They packed in a headset predating Xbox Live, enabling voice communication. Very first experience for a lot of gamers was that. It led to SOCOM Battles, a website, which eventually turned into Game Battles, which eventually turned into Major League Gaming. Anyways, long storied history. The point being that SOCOM, its doom was trying to chase games like Battlefield and Call of Duty. They made their maps bigger. They added vehicles. The heart of SOCOM was tight firefights, small maps, and it kind of alienated the base. It kind of faded away. It's absolutely a franchise that has been requested by many, many people to be resurrected, though. Sony could pump some money into that name and that franchise and definitely offer a competitor to Call of Duty or Rainbow Six, or it's something that would be in the same kind of space. So
Sony's first party games are outstanding. They really are. I think they're really good. I don't think they would have a problem in creating a new IP. I understand that Call of Duty is embedded and it's a much loved franchise, but it wouldn't sink PlayStation if it disappeared from PlayStation, in my opinion.
They also had Resistance. Does anyone remember that?
Fallen Man, yeah. Resistance.
Vaguely, yeah.
That was a big title for them.
I just found Jim Ryan's statement surprising. I didn't think he would go public with something like that.
Maybe they're putting all their money on The Last of Us multiplayer coming out next year.
Honestly, I'm very excited for that. Everything I've heard about
same.
that, like a light MMO factions mode, would be terrific.
First one was great. I want more.
Man, it's just I keep using the word hypocrite, and it's just because when you see it, I even PlayStation gamers were somewhat reacting the same way, going, "But you've been doing the same thing for years," and Xbox isn't even saying they're going to make it exclusive. You can look at all the games that they have currently, like how they've handled Minecraft, Elder Scrolls Online, Fallout 76, these multi-platform games that they continue to bring forward, and they want to, is just proof that they're looking to keep these games on PlayStation. They're making dough. They used to make 30% per copy on Xbox. Now they're going to make 70% per copy on PlayStation. As they said in a rebuttal to what what Sony said today to the CMA, it makes no sense for them to take Call of Duty off the leading platform.
Right. No, absolutely. I mean, that's what I said. And Anthony's kind of bringing up concessions that Microsoft would have to make. And like that's their punishment, is that they have to sell their game on PlayStation. They have to sell 40 million copies of every Call of Duty at a 70% profit margin for the next, forever. Oh, no. That really hurts,
What I find
Meanwhile, they can still offer it on Game Pass. They can still make it more appealing on the Xbox platform. They can keep Sony satisfied and be like, look, we're playing fair. And the whole while raking in money, return on investment.
Phil Spencer is very careful in his words. Like he words things very carefully. Phil Spencer,
more careful than Jim Ryan. I'll say that.
But you know what I mean? It's like he could say, "Oh yeah, it's always going to be on PlayStation," but then it could be that he wants, if you have Game Pass on PlayStation, you can have it forever. If you put xCloud app on PlayStation, you'll always have Call of Duty.
That's kind of a Phil troll, and that's one of my favorite moves that he likes to play. And when people ask questions about content not being available on their platform, and he's just like, "Well, sure, Game Pass, Steam." They've done the same thing. He's done it with Gabe, and Gabe and Phil have gone back and forth, kind of jokingly about getting Game Pass into Steam, and I always get a kick out of it, but it remains to be seen what will happen. We've talked about. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say that is the strategy now, isn't it? Xbox is a platform; it's not a console. That's
100%.
the overall strategy. Go on, Mike.
I actually had a question for you, Anthony. So from my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, so phase 2 of this was basically a foregone given conclusion, or was going to happen, because unless Microsoft made some sort of concession to the CMA about their concerns, they were going to go into phase 2. So Microsoft believes what they have going forward is a good case, so they didn't make any of those concessions, so phase 2 is going to happen. And the way that I understand the EU and the UK markets, like in the US, the way that the FTC runs it is they allow the deal to go through. And at any point, and I watch a channel called Hoag's Law, I believe it's called, small plug for him. The FTC reserves the right to sue on a deal later on down the road. If they believe a company gets out of line, they can sue as a monopoly, etc. It's happened throughout U.S. history. In the UK, they're looking to actually not just allow the deal, they're going to approve it, so that once the deal's in, it's there forever. Do you know if that's true or not?
I'll let you speak for a very long time then, Mike, to tell you that I have no idea.
I'm sorry.
What I'll do is, if anybody does know, and they want to comment in the thread, and if anybody from the UK has got that knowledge, then that'd be cool to let us know.
I will say that's a very kind of excellent point, a very astute observation that how the differences in different international regulation works, and a lot of people are saying that's why when Microsoft put an estimate on this, they said first half of 2023, because they knew that we were going to be going through this process.
I was totally surprised that this happened across the globe. I thought you're a US company, it would happen in the US. and you would stamp it. And I was totally thrown that all these other territories were getting involved, and any one of them could cancel the deal.
I mean, logically, you would think that Microsoft being a U.S. company, U.S. would be maybe the ones to regulate it, to object to it. But if you've been paying attention to the U.S. for the last 40 years, they haven't really done anything against monopolies since way back in the day with AT&T and the telecoms.
Did Microsoft get cancelled? Something got cancelled, or they had to split Microsoft up, didn't they? Into
Microsoft packed in Internet Explorer with Windows, during the 90s. Europe. This is a case where the U.S. was like, "Hey, no problem," and Europe put a stop to that, and they had to unbundle it, and that's the last one of the last major cases of regulation I can remember involving Microsoft. Go ahead.
I don't know how it affects it, but we left the EU and the European Union 2 years ago.
Yeah, you guys did.
I heard about this.
Did you know that? I didn't.
Brexit.
I don't
Texas
know.
succeeding from the union,
but I don't know how that would affect this. I don't know if we're still under EU.
My understanding is that even still with the EU being what it is, that still individual nations will have their say. I've heard Brussels, and I've heard different potential roadblocks yet to come, and it was individual European nations. So again, this is a process and a little bit at a time, but it also has a kind of a snowball effect. Once a few regulators approve it, as it gets further down the line, it's going to be harder and harder for somebody to come up at the end and be like, "Oh, we object. We're canceling the whole thing," even though 82 other countries said it was okay.
I would like to think logic prevails. I think, like Mikey said before, Sony is the number. Microsoft are down the pecking order even after buying Activision. I think that logic will or should prevail in this. It's like every other company that was pitched has come back and said they don't have a problem with the deal. Amazon, Google, Nintendo. It's just Sony. So
that's a huge point, a huge gigantic point, and we can't emphasize it enough that Sony is the only person bitching. The only company bitching. So go ahead, Mikey.
And one thing that gets me, so we're talking about competitive nature of this deal, and one of the things I see brought up is that because Microsoft is leading in the subscription race, that they shouldn't be able to get this, and it's there's a problem with that. Game Pass became a thing because this is Microsoft competing because they were so far behind Sony, Nintendo, and I'll bring up Tencent again. They are so far behind in terms of revenue in the gaming industry. Game Pass was that answer. So to now use that against them because it's a leading service when you're still going to be third in revenue after all this, it doesn't make a ton of sense to me. This is them competing. Buying this company is how they can compete.
100%.
To still come closer to being second.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. I just opened this up. I've just seen this. So what are we talking about? Like,
no problem. We're gonna move you back down to the audience.
I already moved them.
Oh, okay, good deal. This is Reddit Talk, where you are welcome to come up and discuss our relevant topics.
Oh, getting back up.
We don't know where that was going to go. That could have been a fun conversation, but maybe another time.
Sounds like a kid I'd run into at the skate park.
You went on the skate park quite a bit?
I started learning how to rollerblade, and I've been going to a ramp. At the age of 32. It's been a weird experience.
Bad news, man. That's where broken bones come from. But I wish you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like an aged Tony Hawk without the skill of Tony Hawk.
I got a few years on you, and that's off limits for me. Not doing that stuff anymore. But back to the subject at hand. Actually, I'd like to change the subject because I think we kind of killed that one, and maybe something a little bit lighter. But let's talk about the dashboard, the rework that has been previewed and released to Xbox Insiders, and the preview that has become very controversial. I did not expect to see 82 posts on both Xbox One and Series X about people's concepts for what they would like to see in a rework, their complaints about why this rework sucks and why they hate it and why it's ruining Xbox for them, and then also the pushback against them from another subset of users that are just like, shut up, you never look at your screen anyway, why are you complaining? So where are we sitting with the rework, Batman? I heard you chime in. This is your moment. How much do you love it?
He's not here, is he?
He's not. Oh, I just heard him. I swear.
He's just gone.
He
heard
said he
it
was back in
sucks.
our chat.
Oh,
All right. Well,
see.
somebody else can.
but I saw that. I've only seen this on video. I'm not an insider, but I'm a bit bummed that the pins have gone. I've just laid out my entire dashboard with pins, and they've just. I don't like it when things are removed. You know, I like things that features are just pulled out, and it seemed a bit backwards to me that what they've done. But I don't have it yet, so I've not been hands on with it.
I mean,
Yeah. Can you all hear me now?
oh,
yeah,
well,
you're good. Go ahead, Mikey.
I was just going to say, the big thing, one of the complaints with the original UI was that they didn't make use of the space really for important information. And then this new thing comes out and it's got a ton of information, but it's actually kind of more ads. And then they removed the customization of the dashboard itself, which I only recently finally started using and found it to be wonderful. I started pinning games and even friends to see when they're online. And that sounds stalkerish, but like my friends that I'm good friends with that will just hop into a party chat and talk, I've started pinning and stuff so I can just scroll down a couple clips and see. So
that's what it's there for.
Right. I'm kind of in your boat. Just like I just finally figured out how to use this, and I'm liking it now. I have sets of pins. I have a retro game set of pins. It's like all my old school arcade games. I have my online games, my couch multiplayer games, my media apps. I got like 5 sets of pins on there. It's great.
I need to not be lazy and actually set that up.
Oh, you should do it.
It doesn't matter because they're ripping it away from us anyway, Matt. You saved yourself a ton of time by not setting it up.
Yeah, that's a big brain over here.
Apparently, no longer a thing. So it's definitely been one of the top complaints about this UI rework. There's obviously
it looks like Game Pass
too.
It looks like the Game Pass app. The dashboard now looks like
right?
Game
Pass.
Like,
yeah, here's action adventure games on Game Pass. Hey, do you like Game Pass? Hey, would you like to subscribe to Game Pass? Like it's like 5 pages of kind of redundant messaging.
We had a lot of comments on the sub with people in the thread about this, and a lot of users were really upset about the advertisements. People saying that if they're paying for Game Pass Ultimate, they shouldn't be seeing a load of ads on the home.
I'm not even. The ads are the ads. It's not even that big of a deal to me. I think the most polarizing thing is probably this. There is a subset of users. I'd say maybe half of the users. They don't want to look at anything, man. They want a tab for their games. They want a big picture of Master Chief, and this makes sense. A lot of us, when we see our Battle Station pictures on Sunday, the TV is the focal point of their living room. Mm-hmm. They've got lights and everything around it, and maybe when they're out making food in the kitchen, they want to look at a cool screenshot and have kind of simplicity is king. Let's put it that way. And then there's another set of users who are just like, whatever. They're like, why are you complaining? Did you see the meme? You don't use it. You shouldn't be complaining. What's the point?
Did you see the meme earlier in the week that said something like, if the game was if the internet users had the way and it was just one tile that said games and apps, everything else was just the background.
The people that I think that love busy screens are the same ones that have 64 tabs open in Chrome.
Yeah.
So they all seem to correlate.
Right, they got that PC desktop, and it's just 82 files on there, and like, it's Here's where I'm at with it. Even if it doesn't impact you, we have to recognize that there is a large portion of the Xbox user base who would like a simpler UI, a nice home screen, free from clutter, just their games and a picture. So. We would probably want to appease those people. If I was Xbox, I'd be like, dang, you know what? That's a lot of users. There's another set of users who are totally fine with what we're doing. That's great. But maybe we can offer an option here. Maybe we can make a selectable box. You check the box in the settings, light UI. We'll call it that, where you just get your screenshot and your games and a couple tabs. And then we can have the full UI for other users. And I don't know how complicated this would be from an engineering standpoint, but let's try to appease as many people as possible. If there's that many people that are that upset about this, it's worth addressing and trying to make them happy. But are you guys, like I said, it's not a big deal to me, but I have to acknowledge that it's a big deal apparently to a lot of people.
Once you've used something for a few weeks, that's it, isn't it? You just into it. It'll be come and go. This go on, Mike.
I was gonna say I gotta do a stereotypical thing and just say bring back blades.
Classic.
I was gonna say, you talk about customization of the UI. It's almost like there's a feature that they removed that allowed you to customize things. Oh man, if only.
You mean the one we were just talking about? That's like
Why
kind
would
of
they- why would-
fantastic. And
It is mind blowing that they would remove the customization by the user. It's just a crazy decision. But it must be based around pushing.
Didn't they do that in a earlier
Push
update
sales.
also? Like, didn't
Sorry.
you used to be able to like control like which tab would be like store and then like community and like
Yeah.
all that?
On the quick dash, when you press the guide button and it comes in, you could organize your columns, your tabs. But I don't know if that's gone.
I've got a middle ground. How about this? How about Xbox comes out and says that in order to keep Game Pass the price it is currently for like 5 more years, this is the UI they got to go to push Game Pass. Then I might be okay with it. Keep that price the same. Don't raise
it would
it.
probably soften the blow for sure and make people maybe a little more flexible with what they're
don't
asking
think-
for.
I was gonna say I don't think the $1 billion corporation is gonna get a lot of sympathy for that.
Well, Sony's getting sympathy for raising the prices of their consoles. So
For Sony,
I watched a video where somebody called Nintendo and Microsoft evil for not raising the price of their console.
Oh, you don't want to dive too deep.
I know what video you're talking about.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
you know the video? Oh no.
Yeah, no, it got picked up by other channels who made fun of it. So then I watched
that's
it.
good. That's good. That's
Oh.
what we want. We want people making fun of that kind of content because that's just like that's a bridge too far, man.
Oh yeah.
So
What else do we got?
yeah, well, those were kind of like the big topics this week. I feel like the
I
dashboard
got
thing. I did kind of want to say I like customization. More options is better. It's always better.
yeah, absolutely.
It almost never can be a problem. I do want to kind of address. People have asked for quick resume to be the ability to disable it. It's annoying to them to close out their online games. This also doesn't impact me, but again, we have a lot of users asking for this. I feel like this could be an option for them as well. But the thing that kind of gets me about this is we have users that are be like, "Oh, it's just so easy to just close the game. Shut up." That's pretty much their whole take on it, And I just want to say it's not going to impact you. If this makes somebody else's experience better, like I don't know why you have to be like so close-minded to it. We should be looking for options to make everybody's experience better and more enjoyable. So, is there any big news stories this week? We kind of talked on like the big topics, but there.
I've got
Go ahead.
GoldenEye. GoldenEye's
I
coming
was
to
gonna
go.
say you missed GoldenEye.
There's so many things that we could look over, but yeah. So, who wants to go?
What can you say? Go on, Mikey.
Oh, all I was getting. Well, so the big thing is that we're getting GoldenEye. It's a bad thing
We're not getting online.
because we're not getting online, but there's reasons.
There are reasons.
I-
Go for it.
I don't know if anybody knows about the reasons. So Switch is getting GoldenEye as well, but from everything I've read, Switch is getting a port of the original N64 experience, while Microsoft and Xbox are getting a remastered version. So we're getting support for 16:9 support, HD support,
Achievements.
potentially 4K. We're getting all these little niceties added, while Switch is just getting a port. Now, the reason that Switch is getting online is because of the way they handle that emulation. They're actually able to turn split screen games, local co-op or split screen games, into an online game.
This works the same for all of their Nintendo online games, the arcade, the classic games. You can play them all together online, and that's the only thing that this online is. So, yeah.
Which is a great feature, and it'd be really cool if Xbox had something like that, but that's the only reason Switch is getting it. It's not due to licensing, as some people were guessing. It's not due to an exclusive feature just because of some deal they made. Xbox is actually getting the better version technically. So take that for what you will.
Right, and people were really hot at first without understanding why the situation was the way it was. So I will say that I know that GoldenEye holds a very special place in many people's hearts. Predating SOCOM, GoldenEye was the console shooter to play at home. Some people went so far as to tape cardboard down the middle of the screen to divide it in four
That's
different
right. I
sections.
used to do that. I used to do that.
But now we can do it on our 65-inch HD TVs. It's actually going to be a better experience for that couch co-op. And plus, part of the game plan and part of the fun of GoldenEye was screen cheating anyway. You would look up and you'd be like, "Oh no, you don't!" And you come out with your rocket launcher and blast 3 people across the screen. So
remember, if you play as Odd Job, nobody can melee you. There was
you weren't allowed to play as Odd Job. What do you mean?
Odd Job was.
It's coming to Game Pass. Because
it is
Rare
coming to
Game Pass. If you own Rare Replay, you get it for free. You can just get it as a demo. And Rare Replay is on sale at the moment for $5. I believe.
Also, an exceptional value because it has 2 Viva Pinatas in it. Go ahead.
How much of a deal is that? A game is it like 4 years old now, Rare Replay? And they're just adding it into the service? Yeah, so that's really cool. Like if you don't have DLC, Game Pass, like that's neat.
It must be older than 4. It must be older than 4 years old.
Rare Replay? Maybe 5.
Xbox One did a custom theme for it, so quite a few years now, I think. But it is great value, though. Yes, we did, he says. It was a good theme, too, let me say. Rare Replay contains a huge collection of awesome classic games.
It does.
One thing that this did for me, I'm just like, well, if they're adding GoldenEye, there's other titles that they could add to it. 7 years, Mikey says, since Rare Replay first came out. How time flies. I have
10,000
Wizards and Warriors. Go ahead.
I said it has 10,000 gamer score as well, so if you're into achievements...
let's be clear, though, that this includes entire titles, both Viva Pinatas, Banjo-Kazooie, Perfect Dark, which was an Xbox 360 launch title, actually. So you cannot spend a better $5. You really couldn't. No. You're going to find something to play, love, and enjoy. And now you get GoldenEye, too. So fantastic. I think that's it. Go ahead.
I was going to say, small note, Perfect Dark was actually made on the same engine.
It was. Perfect Dark was a pseudo sequel to GoldenEye, and part of the reason for that game's big success because people knew that.
Yeah, and Assassin's Creed Odyssey is dropped on Game Pass tonight.
Yeah,
which is a big deal for me.
I'm not an Assassin's Creed guy, but I know this is big news for a lot of people.
You always say that, but
I do. I'm just not.
You're not going to lure him in, Moko, with the biggest game that takes like over 100 hours to complete.
Well, here's the deal. I should probably give Assassin's Creed more of a chance because I've only played like 2 of the really early titles. It's been reiterated so many times. The launch game of the Series X looked pretty good. I bought Watch Dogs instead. I regret that. I probably would have.
Watch Dogs.
What's that? You liked it? The new one?
I liked it.
Yeah, I'm yeah.
I think the big knock against it was that the characters were unrelatable because it's just random characters. The original Watch Dogs had a great protagonist. I loved the first Watch Dogs.
Yeah, sorry, I've not played Legion. I was talking about the first one.
Oh, no,
okay.
But, yeah, sorry. But Assassin's Creed, I've not played Odyssey, and I've only played Origins a little. But the first 4, back when the 360 launch was, they were the ones that sold me on a net. With Gears of War being a next-gen console, it was just incredible. Assassin's Creed,
huge following.
It really hooked me in.
Yeah, Ubisoft. Anytime somebody's like Microsoft should buy Ubisoft, I'm just like, no. I'm just not a big Ubisoft fan, man.
But lots of stuff. You look at Game Pass. We got Odyssey today. We got Deathloop on September 30th. We got GoldenEye dropping. It's like Game Pass is delivering at the moment for me.
See, here's the problem. In the last 2 weeks, I think they've added like 7 games to my backlog already. So like Immortals, Immortality. I've now found out that Dreamlight Valley is like a Disney version of Animal Crossing. So
Everybody's
I want to play
talking
that.
it up, man. I keep seeing people, they're like, you got to play this game. This is Disney Animal Crossings. And I'm like, what?
I want to try You Suck at Parking. And you didn't even bring up another game that was actually at their big show this summer. Metal Hellsinger came out today.
Oh, looks fantastic. I actually want to try that one.
You are right. I don't have enough time to play these games, to play everything I want to play. And that's without me going buying games, purchasing. These are all Game Pass.
You know what? If that's our problem, if that's the big problem you have right now, what a great time to be a gamer, isn't it?
It is.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I got one thing because I know we're wrapping up, but for everyone in the list who's listening, don't forget Portal 2 should be available today on Games with Gold, and it's your last 360 games with gold.
It is
Download it,
available.
play it. It's so good.
I can't
end
even
of an era.
ceremoniously get it though because I already bought it digitally. So
I have it on disc. This is perfect for me.
That's that's definitely worth picking up. I actually have I've beaten Portal 1, so let me say that, but I haven't played Portal 2. It's always been a game I wanted to get to. I have no excuses anymore.
No.
I probably still won't get to it for a while, but I
Clear
have a chance
calendar.
now, at least.
It's worth it.
It's on the calendar, right? It has a deep calendar, man. Yeah, that is pretty much it. I think we got most of the major stories in. Yeah, Portal 2, that's good. That's it. Let's go around the horn and see what everybody's going to be doing this week. Let's start with Matt.
I was going to say...
You there, Matt?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
All right. Yep, you're good.
Okay. I was just going to say the same thing I was going to say for the I've been playing. I'm just going to keep playing GTA Online with my friends because we all of a sudden wanted to play the heist. It's been 7 years since we played the originals and we want to play the new ones, so that's what I'll be doing.
How's the experience for you? Is it no griefing, no cheating? Are you having a fun time?
Well, it's nice because you can do invite-only lobbies now and do all that money-making stuff in there. You don't have to do it in public lobbies anymore.
All right. Yeah, that's a good change. Good to hear. So that's interesting. Obviously, it's doing well since it's taken them forever to make GTA 6. So
yes,
that's pretty funny. Anthony, what are you going to be up to this week? What time is it there? God, it's like 2 a.m., isn't it?
It's like 1 a.m. 10 to 1.
Well,
I think
pretty late.
this week I'm gonna download Odyssey. I think give that a go. I've not played it. Everyone's raving about it in the sub, saying it's really good. So that's gonna be. But like I say, I don't have much time.
No, which one? I'm sorry, I missed the title.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Speak of the devil.
Yeah. So yeah, and I'm still trying to finish Far Cry 5. I don't know. You did it twice, Mikey. It's blown my mind that you've done it twice.
it was,
and the second time he just said, "Oh, I'm going to do it again on hard mode," and he did it in like a day.
It wasn't a day. I think it was 14 hours, and I skipped as much as I could.
Yeah,
and I started to hate the game.
I've been playing it for weeks, and I'm like halfway through it.
It wasn't
Anthony, you and I are
hours,
the same pace, man.
I will say I've got Anthony messaging me. He's not on the same pace all the time.
Whoa.
He messages me on the side about updates to those high gamer score games, and I appreciate it. We're like in this thing together now.
What I will say is that for a free 1,000 gamer score, anybody, there's a NASA game being put up on. It's for free to download, and basically it teaches you.
Oh my god!
You're in the space station. The ISS, and it's like being in there. It teaches you all about the space station, but by exploring it and doing the things, you get 1,000 gamer score. It's a free download. It's called.
You remind me of all those people on True Achievements, Moko. Don't go down that path.
I'm just saying.
I am on it now, True Achievements, right now, and it's called Space Science Investigations.
That's the second game that NASA's actually released recently for free.
The first.
No, that's actually pretty cool. You know what? Screw the easy gamer score. That's a cool thing. That's a cool concept.
It's cool. It's educational. The first achievement is for finding a sick bag, and you need it because for the first 5 minutes I thought I was going to throw up like playing the game. Try it. It's amazing, but
it's not even VR.
You kind of get used to it, but it's very weird. But it's a good game.
Cool.
I think it's a good. It's not even a game. It's like an experience. It's more teaching you about space, about the ISS. It's educational.
Yeah, I have a weekly segment about play this game for achievements.
I could easily that's it. I'm brushing against the 100,000 gamer score mark after like 15,000 years. So maybe I just need to dedicate a month to playing NASA Explore the Moon or whatever's happening over there. So.
It's called Space Science Investigations. Mike, you want to write that down?
Oh no! I mean, it kind of sounds like a murder mystery in space.
What are you playing now, Jay? What did you finish the Rogue?
Oh God, I don't want to say it because it's kind of embarrassing. Okay. I'm playing Terraria.
Terraria.
Yeah.
Why would you not want to say that?
Oh, because I have like
8
hours into this game. It's a 15-year-old game. It's just I feel like there's so much else I could be playing, and here I am back to an old favorite.
So here's my deal with going back to old favorites. Just very small ranks. I recently talked about this with somebody else. And the deal is like, you know how you go back to comfort TV? Like you'll sit down and a lot of people watch The Office. For me, it's Futurama. You fall back into the comfort game. There is no problem with that. Absolutely none. If it makes you happy, play that game.
I greatly appreciate the vote of confidence, and I do feel like that. Like I think we all do. There's almost like a backlog pressure, isn't there? Like there's so many titles I want to get to and things that I'm putting off, and it doesn't really matter. Terraria, to its defense, is coming out with its very final update toward the end of the month. Here, it's going to release concurrently on PC and console and all the platforms. It's my favorite game of all time. And it sounds weird to say that about ugly looking side scroller type game, but just the sandbox components, the amount of items, customization, it's like Minecraft times 100, but it's way different than Minecraft. If you know it and if you played it and you love it, you understand what I'm saying. I have a goal to go through and beat every single boss with my daughter and collect almost everything we can. So that's where I'm going to be at for a few weeks. And I like how you put it. It's like a comfort food, Mikey. It's like I'm eating mashed potatoes and some chicken drumsticks and gravy, and I'm all good. I'll get back into. I know we have Deathloop around the corner. I want to check that out, and I'll get back into other stuff soon. So that's kind of my agenda. Oh, also multiverses, but we'll save that for next show. Fantastic. It's worth getting in on. So that's it. Did we do it? Is that everyone?
Yeah, I think so.
That's everyone.
We mashed some subjects. We had a couple good guests tonight. I owe a code for Metal Gear Solid 5 to I forgot his name already, but I'll find you in the comments.
She had Diamond.
Hogwarts.
Hogwarts.
I uploaded him in the comments.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. We're gonna tune this out, and we'll be back next week. Hopefully, same time, same date.
Are we gonna do Thursday? Is that next week?
I would like to do Thursdays. Yep,
Okay.
it makes it easier for people to find us. So we'll put some promotion out in the subreddit and all that fun stuff too. So until next time, go ahead.
Thing, I have a very selfish reason for saying what I'm going to be doing this week.
Oh, I'm muting you. No,
Tomorrow's my
go
birthday.
ahead. Wait, go ahead.
Tomorrow's my birthday.
It's your birthday tomorrow, dude.
Happy birthday.
That's all I wanted.
What? No, happy birthday, man. That's yep, absolutely. We all get older, and that's unbelievable. So, there you go. Polite round of applause. Until next time, everybody have a good evening. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching us on YouTube and listening on Spotify and everywhere you find us. Take care, everyone.
Adios.
Bye.